So let's see our first container, vectors. So to use vector, we have to do hash include vector, and vectors are alternatives for arrays. They are sequence containers, that is, they are sequential in manner. The data type is sequential in manner, and they can have dynamic size. Okay, so let's see how it works. I can create a vector. Now I have to say of what type the vector is. So it is of int types. So this vector contains integers, and let's say I name it array, but I can name it anything. Let's say I name it a. Okay, so this is a vector which is empty right now. So this is empty. Okay, and on an empty array, what operate well on any array I can perform, but for an empty array I can perform a dot pushback 1, and let's say a dot pushback 2, and let's say I want to print this array, so I can use for int I is equal to 0, I should be less than a dot size. Now this a dot size, this dot size is a function provided by the vector I plus plus, and I'll just see out a at I, and I can print it. So for this, we see that how to create an empty array, how to push values in it, and how to print it. Now I can also print it in another way. We can just do for int x, which goes to array, and I'll just see out x. So this will also give me 1 and 2. Okay. Now instead of int, I can also use auto. Auto is like when we were using templates, uh, we were using we were using template class T. Now instead of using that T, we are using this auto. So even if I change it to any other string or any other thing, so we can use auto. Okay, so this will also work. Now another way to print is using iterators. So for auto, iterator is equal to a dot begin. So iterator starts from this dot begin is provided by the vectors, this function, and iterator should not be equal to a dot end. If it reaches the end of the array, we will stop and we'll do iterator plus plus. So what this does is we can print cout value at iterator. Iterator is basically the address. We are going through each addresses. So let's print it in next line, and this will also give me the same output. Now I have used auto here. Instead of auto, I can also do vector int. This is an iterator it. So this iterator's data type is this actually, but instead of this we can simply do auto. So let me write auto here, and I will just comment this, but I'll show you that this works. So for int iterator it, so this also works. So till now we saw how to create an empty array, push values in it, how to print it in different ways. Now instead of creating an empty array, we can create an array with size. Let's say I mentioned the size 5. Okay, and now I'll try to the print values in the array B, and initially this sets all the values to 0. So I'll get 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and if I initially want to set the values to, let's say, 1 or any other thing, so I can pass it as a second parameter also. So now it will initialize the array with 1. So we saw we can mention the size of the array, and we can create an array using size and initial value. We can create an array by providing size and the initial value in it. Yeah, so just to clarify, this a dot begin is giving us an iterator pointing to the first element. So now vector also provides us with a function clear. So let's say I want to clear the array C. So I'll simply do C dot clear, and now if I try to print the elements in the C, it will give me nothing because the this is now empty. To clear the array. Now if you want to check if an array is if an array is empty or not, there is a function empty, so we can check if A is empty. If this is exactly equal to true, we will say cout A is empty. Or we can do, instead of A we can do C is empty, and control C, and before clearing I can do the same thing. If C dot empty is this, else just say cout C is not empty. So first it will say C is not empty, then we clear it, then it will say C is empty. So it is giving us error because I didn't put semicolons. So it is first saying C is not empty, and when we clear it, then it says C is empty. Now we saw pushback, so there is also a pop back. So we can do a dot pop back, and it will simply just remove one. So instead of 1 2, we will get 1. Okay, so we saw pushback, pop back. Let me push one another element, let's say 3, so it will be more clear. Now we'll see the function erase, insert, and resize. So for this, I'll create another array, vector int array of size, let's say 10, and I fill this array for int I equal to 0, I should be less than 10 I plus plus, and array of I is equal to I. So right now this array contains, so right now this array contains element from 0 to 9. Okay, let's say I want to delete 2. So to erase 2, I can do array dot erase. Now in this erase, we pass the iterator. Okay, so this is important. So we do array dot begin. This gives us the iterator pointing to the first element. Okay, now I want to delete 2. So this will, and I'll print the array after it is being erased. So 2 is removed because the iterator was pointing to this and I moved 1, 2. So let's say I want to erase from 3 to, let's say, 7. So I will do array dot erase array dot begin plus 2 because 2 is removed, so 3 is at the second position and 7. So for 7 I can do plus 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can give it another parameter. So array dot begin plus 6. So this will give me 0, 1, 8, 9. 01789. Oh, so it should be 7. 0189. Now I can also do array dot end minus. So I'm doing. So I can also do array dot end minus 2. So what will this do is prime 0189 because first we are deleting second element and then we are deleting from the updated second element to array dot end minus 1, 2. So this from here to here. Erase work, insert works similarly. I can do array dot insert. So I want to insert 2 here. So I'll do array dot begin plus 2, the second position and the value. So it will give me 01289. Okay. So you see insert. Right now array size is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say I want to create an array of size 6. So I'll do array dot resize 6, and this increase the size to 6, adding a 0 in the end. Now let's say I want to access this last element. So I can directly do cout. Let's go first line first. Next line first. I can directly do array dot size, which will give me 6 minus 1 because it is 0 based index. The arrays are 0 based indexed. So this will give me 0, or I can just do cout array dot back. So this will give me the last element 0, and I can do cout array dot front, and this will give me the first element, which is also 0 in this case. Okay, so we also saw front and back. There is also uh, one more function. Instead of doing array I, which we simply use, we can also use array dot at index I is equal to I. So instead of using square based square brackets, we are just calling a function that is provided by vectors dot at. So this will also give me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This we were doing, and this also works. So a recap, which functions we discussed with vectors. So at tells at what position of the vector to access the specific position of the vector, and to back is used to get the last element, front to get the first element, begin to get the iterator uh, of the first element, and to get the iterator of the last element, and clear just clears the whole array. Empty tells if the error empty tells if the array is empty or not. And erase, we can erase an element at a specific position. Insert, we can insert a element at a specific position. Push back, just push the element at the back of the array. Pop back pops the last element out of the array. And size just tells the size of the array, and by resize we can actually resize the array. Okay, so this was the lecture on vectors. I will add additional comments, and this will be in the notes if you want to revise.